Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 reasons why Legion PvP is better than Warlords of Draenor currently on live, guys. Now, there's a lot of reasons. A lot of people seem to disagree at some points with this, but honestly, guys, I've been around since vanilla. I'm a very old player. I'll bring up my account and show you my vanilla achievements for PvP if you want me to. But, anyways, I actually think the game at this point is a lot closer to being balanced than it has been for a long time, and let me explain to you guys why. Guys, the decline of World of Warcraft started around Wrath of the Lich King, and a lot of people love Wrath of the Lich King, but they didn't realize that's where it started happening. The moment I realized it was happening, I believe, was the moment I realized that shamans got stuns. At that point, to me, at least in my eyes, a lot of classes lost their significance. They lost their, what that class stood for, like how they were supposed to play. And soon enough, a lot of classes were basically, most melee were played like warriors. You could run straight into most classes and fight for a really long time. And it was at that point that I actually re-rolled the DK to play on a server with a family member, and basically fell in love with the DK. Not because it was something that I liked at the time, but because it was mechanically superior to a warrior in every single way. It was ridiculous. I mean, Necrotic Strike and stuff came a little bit later. But, the amount of mobility, or not mobility, DKs don't have too much mobility. More of the counter mobilities DKs have compared to a warrior, I think was one of the reasons I went to it, which in my mind made it very mechanically superior. 1v1 and, of course, healing for a very long time compared to a warrior. But right now, guys, DK versus warrior, I'd have to say would be a very strong fight, but in the end, I'd have to say a warrior would probably take it. Unless I did a lot of kiting and had some LOS because of their survivability. But they don't have as much damage as me, nor do they have the AoE pressure. So as you can see, guys, a lot of classes are going up and down. Like, okay, not as much damage, but the survivability is higher, which is going to give classes, their niche. That's where they're strong. Even though a warrior isn't going to deal the most insane amount of damage, he might be calling targets because he's less likely to die out of melee. Things like that are what's going to be happening in Legion that a lot of people aren't used to, but I can see them slowly turning over and forming into most classes having to play to their strengths. So let's get to the actual list here, guys. The first reason, guys, if you're experienced right now on live Warlords of Draenor, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you're in a twos match, guys, and let's say you come up against your Holy Pally DK and you come up against like a Resto Druid Rogue or Resto Druid Hunter, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Number one is going to be healers are killable. That is one of my biggest complaints I've ever had throughout this entire game, guys, is the fact that even if you outplay a healer, hit an interrupt, lay in a CC, and let's say grip the next heal, it's still not enough pressure to land a kill, even though you just extremely outplayed that other person, that they can just still stand out in the middle like an idiot and heal through things based upon the multitude of cooldowns that everybody had. So that's a definite plus side to that, guys, and that led to long twos games, guys. I'm not talking about the ones nowadays where dampening kicks in really soon. I'm talking about back in the Wotlk days when it would just go up to like 50-something minutes. That was miserable, guys. That was straight miserable. Like, it made players good because that was a lot of practice, but it was completely miserable once you were trying to push rating. It was not fun at all. And Warlords of Draenor is probably the worst at it because it literally, the game requires dampening to make the comps work. That's how broken Warlords of Draenor is. As of right now, if you outplay a healer, hit him with a stun, hit him with an interrupt, throw in a grip or something, and you burst at the right time, chances are without a good peel, that healer is not going to make it out alive. And that's the way it should be. One healer should not be able to tank 2 DPS and, act like it's nothing. Oh, we got whispers. The second thing you guys might be noticing also involves healers is the fact that there are no healers in twos. It kind of goes along with the first one, but the fact that there's no healers in twos, guys, you know me. I've actually thrown a competition before where it was purely just double DPS, which, guys, I'm totally planning on doing here in Legion. You can count on it, especially with this going on. No healers in twos. That means you got to go big D double DPS all the way, and that's the way it should be in twos. Like, that is so fun. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. For healers, it might make them mad, but honestly, guys, I'm absolutely tired of playing double DPS and going up against a healer that's not even smart enough to fake cast, kick him twice, hit him with the stun, and him still live. That's just ridiculous, obviously. So, obviously, no healers to twos is going to be amazing for anybody who likes to play a DPS or play double DPS or rely on your own self-healing compared to having somebody that's extremely overpowered. So, that all around just makes Arena for us amazing. It's amazing. That was a good decision. I've said that for a long time, guys, and it seems that Blizzard finally agrees with it. You know, it's good. It's good for us. Third reason, guys, is gonna be limited save me buttons, and you're wondering, what do you mean by that? Now, guys, Ice Block for mages, of course, double Ice Block still exists, which is something I actually expect with mages, but the cool thing is they actually can't be made invulnerable for the Ice Block. It goes on a little cooldown there, which is pretty amazing that they can't use it one right after the other, so consistently pressuring may actually work, you know, right after that Ice Block, kind of like when a Pally bubbles and he gets Forbearance. So less save me buttons. You can't just save me button your way to the top and let your partner kill everybody. I don't know how many times I've seen comps played like that, and it really annoyed me. Now, mages, as I said, they still have two, but they have the like little forbearance debuff now, basically. So that causes the save me buttons to not be as strong, and that's something I really enjoy because nothing frustrated me more than losing to a save me button. And you're like, yeah, okay, save me button. Yeah, like losing to a bubble. Not losing to skill because we outplayed the team, but losing to a bubble which gave the other team enough time to land a kill. Like, that is one of the most annoying things in my book. Or losing to a deterrence, a double deterrence, or losing to a double ice block one right after the other. That stuff, to me, was just over ridiculous and causes arena matches and fights to last way too long. So, as I said here, this guy still has his double ice block there. Hold on, I don't think nope, we can't cast the Greater Pyro. Sad, I wanted to shoot it. Alright, so we'll check out the other character. So it's also like this Marksman Hunter here. Marksman Hunter has a bit of a nice little heal that they can throw out, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's kind of like a save me button, but it's not as powerful. It's like a now heal, not like a 12-second, you know, deterrence. But they do still have a deterrence, which is Aspect of the Turtle, which basically reduces damage taken by 30% and basically reflects everything. So it's like, it's stronger than deterrence, but it doesn't last anywhere near as long. It lasts long enough to save you, but not last long enough that if you're outplaying the healer, you shouldn't still be able to land a kill sometime within that general vicinity. So that's one of the ways that the game's going to be balanced out with save me buttons, so you have to rely mechanically on your character a lot more than you would originally. That basically means if you plan on playing any ranged class, rogue, and or feral druid, and you don't know how to kite like I do on a frost DK, you're going to want to figure out how, otherwise you're going to get very pissed off on any class you play. The fifth rule, guys, at least among the DPS, just about any DPS can kill another DPS if they catch them off guard. Now, of course, when it's like Frost DK versus Feral Druid, currently the Frost DK is going to win. But let's say the Frost DK is hitting another target, the Feral opens up on him and bursts. The Feral still has enough pressure to be able to kill that Frost DK, and the Frost DK doesn't have enough healing to stay alive for a ridiculous amount of time, so he doesn't die. Besides one class that we pointed out in the last video, that was Outlaw Rogues, that just have over-the-top insane healings that definitely needs to be fixed before Legion. But besides that, all the classes have the perfect potential to kill each other, even lengthed out fights, you know, shorter fights, you know, everyone has a chance to kill each other. And of course, more classes have more damage, more classes have more CC, and more classes have a bit more healing, so they're not going to be, you know, as pressurable. But every class has the potential to kill another one. Like, if I catch this Frost DK without a grip, Mr. Control DK over there, and I shoot him a few times, and he comes at me, and I kite him out, and he doesn't have grip, chances are, even on a Marksman Hunter, which isn't the most amazing class at the moment, I can still, you know, poon a Frost DK, which has the most insane amount of damage and AoE pressure. So along with the save me buttons, guys, they also trimmed up a lot of the CCs in the game, and there's a reason for that. Now, with the amount of CCs that were going out all around, there wasn't a way to absolutely balance out the classes when every DPS was a Swiss Army knife. Like, DKs could get out of stuns for days, they had a stun, they could silence, they can interrupt. Like, literally, classes could do everything the other classes could do. When even back in the day, some of the classes couldn't even interrupt, but they had an okay amount of CC. Now, this is why Legion is starting to get closer back to the original days, is because we have less abilities, guys. I don't know what this new age of people is thinking, like, we don't want the trimming, but you want to go back to vanilla, but vanilla was a lot more trimmed up, where classes were actually classes, instead of, just being an overpowered class, because every class has the same amount of stuns, CCs, interrupts, silences, things like that, which made it absolutely impossible with that many uncontrolled variables to balance a game, guys. So everything has to be mechanically strong or different in their own way to actually make this game, which has so many different classes, balanced. There we go. That's what I were looking for on that one. By the way, the trim is number 6. Now, everyone's saying the trim's a terrible thing. As I just explained, the trim is not terrible. It's actually better overall for the game, and overall better for the PvP scene as a whole. Now, you want me to use an example? What's the largest, most popular MOBA out there, which also has probably one of the biggest backings in competitive gaming as to date? League of Legends, guys. And how many buttons does League of Legends have? Like 4 or 5? Why is that? Because it's balanceable, it's manageable. What they turned WoW into in Warlords of Draenor and slowly progressed towards Warlords of Draenor was terrible. I know they tried to increase the skill cap of the game, but in turn they ruined the whole game as a whole. So now they have to revert it back to something that it previously was to try and salvage, what the game was at one single point. It's really something hard for people to see, and it took me a lot of classes to figure this out, guys, especially like Marksman Hunter. What I was saying, I can't go in and just blast the living crap out of people and run in at 2 feet away and they focus me and I just deterrence and I'm fine. No, you can't do that. You have to play like a Marksman Hunter would play, like IRL, hiding, bob and weave, hide, bob and weave. You can't be playing like a dum-dum, guys. All right, so I'll show you another class that a lot of people are having a major problem with wrapping their head around. As far as why are we playing it like this? This makes us angry, and some people might get angry at me saying this, but it's the dang truth, so listen up. Here we are on a Feral Druid, guys. If you've seen, I can blow up a Feral Druid pretty fast now, so they're not as tanky as they used to be. In other words, you have to play a Feral Druid like a Feral Druid. You can't play a Feral Druid like a warrior now. You can't pop your 40-second cooldown and heal yourself for 10 days in a 1v1 battle, because that was just ridiculous. And the fact that they gave him a spammable stun, like, who in their right mind gives a class a spammable stun and calls that balance? Nobody does. I mean, that was just insane. Alright, so defensively, they have survival instincts. Now, guys, how are you going to go about playing a Feral Druid without getting your face globaled like you saw me doing to the other ones? You have to pre-plan things in this game now. Yes, like popping out on a rogue and hitting feint before you're focused, popping out on a Feral Druid and hitting survival instincts before you get punched in the face. Things like that are things you're going to have to think about now, other than you being able to pop things midway through in Warlords of Draenor and still getting away with things because the healing was so overpowered. So, Feral Druids play how they used to be. You go out up on a target, you apply your dots, you stack up your, your little combat points here, and then you hit a rip, and then you heal yourself and kite away. Like, Druids are meant to be played like that, guys. And Druids, you guys don't have double shifts anymore, so it will be kind of harder, so you will have to use pillars and things like that to do this probably correctly and better. So you might want to keep a little mind about that. They also have a bit of AoE, which is pretty crazy. I actually do like their 3-stack Brutal Slash AoE. And it can give you a maximum of 3 charges. So, I mean, you can just unload that with some kind of minor cooldowns, and it would be pretty savage. So I can imagine most of your damage on a Feral Druid is definitely going to come from spreading your dot pressure on probably multiple targets kind of in arena. It may be harder than a lot of classes, but it's still possible to do, as I've gotten dots rolling on both targets right now. Which would, look at that, that's still quite a bit of damage. Of course, if you had cooldowns rolling and things like that, maybe we'll throw up Thrash and a few other abilities, and we can, pop your artifact and a few different things, and it becomes even more dot damage. But that's going to be how you're going to be playing a Feral Druid. You can't play a Feral Druid like a warrior anymore. You got to play a Feral Druid like a Feral Druid's supposed to be played. Otherwise, you're going to get doo-dooed on. And that's a lot better for the game. It really is, guys. Number 7 is going to be Legion is closer to vanilla than Wotlk, and obviously Warlords of Draenor, because it's closer than Wotlk. I mean, obviously. I mean, I kind of made that a point. I've probably pre-explained that one, but I'll minorly touch on that again. Basically, with all the trimming, guys, take away CC, like we were just discussing, and making class have to play to their strengths instead of Pharaoh Druids playing like warriors and things like that. That should never happen. Should have never happened in this game. That it really took away, a class's worth, taking away their niche. That's why they added back Wind Fury Totem for Enhancement Shamans, because I'm not going to turn down an Enhancement Shaman for RPGs or PvP now, because he's got Wind Fury Totem. Like, get over here, big boy, you're my friend. Number 8 is going to be less self-healing for DPS classes, obviously. It's kind of something we minorly touched on before, but it's nowhere near what I'm going to say about this one. So what I mean by that is, let's say DKs here. As we know on the channel, we're glass cannons with high amount of damage. So the less healing I'm talking about is, how annoying it was in Warlords of Draenor. You jump on a DK that icy chains you, jump back, and they'd spam Siphon at you. He'd run back here, hit you with Siphon, go behind here, hit you with Siphon, hit you with Siphon, hit you with Siphon, hit you with Siphon. By the time you got close enough, he ran back this way, changed you again, and then would hit you with Siphon from way over here. It made DKs a counter for warriors, rogues, a lot of classes, honestly. Just with that playstyle, that's all you needed to know to be able to counter most classes in 1v1, which was totally a terrible, of course, balancing process. Now I can't do that. I can't mess with people in duels on Legion Beta. I can't take the time to joke around and kite people. I actually have to play tooth and nail to get a win. That's one of the reasons that less healing was a lot more important, because I really feel like you get better intense battles now knowing it's not going to last 30 minutes, and the only thing that actually matters is the 5 to 10 second window where your burst is maximizing on the other target. Now it's like the first to get to the burst, the first to hit, the first to proc the right abilities at the right time, of course in a 1v1 battle, is the one that's going to win, and that's the way it really should be. Number 9 is going to be classes have to play to their strengths. Now, we've minorly touched on this, discussing a lot of other things. Now, what do I mean by that? And I'm going to show an example on an Enhancement Shaman, why classes have to play to their strengths. Now, Enhancement Shamans have insane burst, but like Frost DKs, they can be very squishy. The other thing is, Enhancement Shamans have a bit of ramp-up time, unless you throw up your wolves early and your wolves go in and, of course, hit the target, which generates a lot of your power. So you can burst pretty fast. Now on a shaman, you have to play to your strengths. Like, you can hit people at range from this far away to gain your power and, of course, proc your melee abilities. So by the time you go in on the target, you have a full burst and you can basically unload your storm strikes. Now if you're full blowing cooldowns like that on Enhancement Shaman, obviously I don't have to come in close. Obviously I don't have to be anywhere near the target to just put out some insane damage on an Enhancement Shaman. So if you don't need to be there, then obviously you shouldn't be there. You need to play to your strength. Otherwise, Enhancement Shamans, kind of like DKs, even though we're in melee, they have a pretty good amount of burst healing, but that's still not going to amount much to a target or another DPS that's blowing full cooldowns on you and completely bursting on you. And of course, like I said before, Shamans got their PvP Wind Fury Totem back. Oh, I'm just gonna play with it and drag it around on the screen for a minute. Yeah, you guys don't know. If you started playing the game recently, it probably doesn't make as much sense to you as it does some of the people I've played for a very long time. But Inferior Totem. Last but not least, it's gonna be number 10. It's gonna be burst and consistent damage classes both have a place. So with like I was saying earlier, the lack of healing, it makes big damage and consistent damage very threatening for most classes because you can't heal through it. Even dot damage to some classes absolutely is terrifying if you have nothing to heal off of or you're stuck in combat and can't eat. So the way I realized this, guys, is I was in a battleground. Of course, you see on the shaman, I play a very bursty, hard burst, blow stuff up kind of shaman. Well, this other shaman was playing with the spec that had better consistent damage, because I believe he was rolling with, let's see here, earthen spikes and a few other different things that caused his damage to be more consistent. Now, where I burst and blow up the healer, his consistent damage with the healer behind him would actually kill DPS almost a lot faster than I would, just over time, because he had healers, of course. Now in like a BG where we would have both die a lot and burst, I would definitely pull ahead in the damage and with kills. But as long as he had a consistent amount of healing, the consistent damage actually had quite a bit of pressure in a PvP orientated situation. And remember how I said earlier, a single CC is threatening in Arena, just one single CC. Imagine if you're playing with two casters that have, medium damage, and they throw a CC and they both burst, put out their consistent damage, and throw in a second CC. Now, it's not going to be nowhere near as bursty like I was explaining, but the consistent damage is going to be insanely threatening over that amount of time, which is made up from their CC, and of course, it falls under playing your class to your strength. So don't expect to outdamage a class that has minor CC and less healing. That's the way the game is actually trying to be balanced around, guys. They're not trying to give everything anymore. And I've really been trying to say they needed to do that for a long time, and a lot of people didn't see it, and they thought that making the game harder while not making it harder was better. And obviously it's not, guys, because I haven't yelled, screamed, like not in like an angry way at Warlords of Draenor, but like yelling and screaming as my health gets down to nothing as somebody's trying to global my face off, and I'm yelling at the screen saying it's not going to happen, and then his health gets low, and then you global him, and then you end up throwing your headphones in the air because you're so dang happy about it. That's the kind of crap that happens in Legion. I'm dead serious, guys. It's absolutely amazing. And the players that have a lot of skill in Legion, you can tell them apart from players that don't, just based upon movement and how they use their abilities alone, which is a big, definitely a big thing in Legion, guys, because, again, as I said before, if you're not playing to your strength, you're not playing the class right, and you're going to end up getting doo-dooed on. But that's going to be it for this list, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made a lot of you feel better about Legion. That was my intention with this video, obviously. But yeah, guys, honestly, there's a lot to look forward to if, like that last video we posted, if they actually even those out, slide that stuff out, just take off those tanks, that little healing, the too much AoE damage, and quite honestly, guys, Legion is going to be the best PvP we've had in a very long time. And until next time, this is your boy Hazzed. Remember to leave a like.